Hello, friends. In this video, we want to share the stories of people who have recently left this world. Their lives and legacies deserve to be remembered, and we hope you will discover something meaningful about them today. Before we begin, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Now, let's get started. Rick Davies passed away on September 6, 2025. He was the co-founder, lead singer, and driving creative force behind the iconic rock band Supertramp, a group renowned for its thoughtful lyrics, sophisticated arrangements, and distinctive blend of rock, pop, and progressive textures. In his youth, Rick discovered his love for music through piano and keyboards. He was a self-taught musician with a natural feel for rhythm and melody. In the late 1960s, he formed Supertramp with the goal of crafting songs that were both emotionally resonant and intellectually engaging. His early contributions laid the foundation for the band's signature sound, a fusion of introspective storytelling and catchy, compelling hooks. As Supertramp's frontman and primary songwriter, Rick lent his rich baritone voice and piano mastery to memorable songs such as Bloody Well Right, Goodbye Stranger, and Breakfast in America. These tracks soared up the charts and became the soundtrack for many, offering clever social commentary wrapped in irresistibly melodic music. When band member Roger Hodgson departed in the 1980s, Rick continued steering Supertramp, sustaining its creative vision and guiding it through new albums and live performances. He wasn't just a musician, he was a steward of the band's legacy, ensuring its music continued to reach hearts even when the lineup changed. Offstage, Rick was known for his humility and quiet strength. He avoided the trappings of fame, preferring simple moments and close connections with family and friends. In the later years, he bravely faced his illness with grace, never letting it define his spirit. He continued to perform and create music, even while dealing with health challenges, showing unwavering dedication to his craft. In his final chapter of life, he let go of the spotlight, but never stopped being true to himself. He performed informal gigs, shared music with close circles, and remained deeply connected to the art that shaped his life. His final performances were less about accolades and more about love for music, a heartfelt farewell from an artist who gave so much. As we remember Rick Davies, we honor not just the musician, but the man, the keyboardist with soulful wisdom, the songwriter with piercing honesty, and the human being defined by empathy, authenticity, and unshakable integrity. His voice may have quieted, but his music lives on, timeless, profound, and infinitely inspiring. Giorgio Armani passed away on September 4, 2025, leaving behind an indelible legacy that forever changed the world of fashion. Known as one of the most visionary designers of the 20th and 21st centuries, Armani built an empire rooted in elegance, simplicity, and timeless sophistication. His name became synonymous with refined tailoring, sleek silhouettes, and an understated luxury that defined generations of style-conscious individuals. More than a brand, Giorgio Armani represented an entire philosophy of living with grace, restraint, and dignity. Born in Piacenza, Italy, Armani grew up during a time of hardship, yet discovered early his fascination with aesthetics, proportion, and the power of clothing to shape identity.
His early work in fashion began with humble roles in window dressing and fabric trade, but his meticulous eye and dedication soon carried him into the creative departments of prestigious Italian houses. By the mid-1970s, he had already launched his own line, quickly becoming the face of a new era in Italian fashion. His soft-shouldered jackets, clean lines, and fluid approach to tailoring revolutionized men's and women's wardrobes worldwide. Through the 1980s and 1990s, Giorgio Armani expanded far beyond clothing, transforming his name into a global lifestyle empire. Armani Privé brought haute couture to international runways, while Armani Exchange and Emporio Armani introduced accessible luxury to younger generations. His influence spread into interior design, fragrance, hotels, and even sports, always carrying the same DNA of elegance. Hollywood embraced his vision, and Armani's designs became iconic on the red carpet, defining the visual identity of countless stars and films. He became not just a designer, but an architect of cultural taste. Philanthropy was also deeply woven into his journey. He invested in humanitarian causes, medical research, and environmental projects, showing the world that fashion and responsibility could walk hand in hand. He remained grounded despite his global acclaim, known for his discipline, modest personal life, and commitment to his craft. Even as the industry around him shifted toward fast trends and digital disruption, Armani's brand remained a beacon of permanence and authenticity. His awards, recognition, and the respect he commanded spoke not just of business success, but of enduring influence. In the last years of his life, Giorgio Armani continued to be a guiding force, balancing tradition with innovation. His passing is felt as the end of an era, but his presence remains alive in every impeccably cut suit, every elegant gown, and every individual inspired to live with quiet confidence. The fashion world mourns not only a titan of design, but also a man whose vision shaped how people saw themselves. Giorgio Armani will forever be remembered as a master of simplicity and elegance, a pioneer who taught us that true style is eternal.
Mimi passed away on September 5th this year. Though she carried the warmth of a simple name, to millions of fans she was much more: a beloved voice, a humorist with sharp wit, and the heart of Gooby Gooby's TikTok presence. From the moment she first appeared alongside her grandson, Jake Gooby Gooby, viewers were drawn to her candid charm and sense of humor. Together, they built something rare, genuine connection that translated through a screen. Their family clips, showcasing Mimi's unapologetic honesty, playful critiques of online trends, and heartfelt reactions, became a signature of light-hearted joy in a chaotic digital world. Mimi wasn't an influencer by design, but she became one by essence. She co-starred in a living scrapbook of shared moments from 2022 through 2025, earning hundreds of thousands of followers and tens of millions of likes. Her delightfully blunt takes and loving presence offered comfort, laughter, and an indescribable warmth to all who watched. Her final message, pre-recorded and shown after her passing, was characteristically forthright. "If you're watching this, it means I'm gone," she said, followed by, "I had the most fabulous life." In that simple confession lay a universe of love, resilience, and unshakable spirit. Earlier this year, Jake had revealed that Mimi was battling multiple cancers and had entered the final stages of her journey, a journey she faced with courage and honesty. Though she has left the screen, Mimi's legacy remains. Fans from around the globe continue sharing their favorite clips, thanking her for the laughter and kindness she shared so freely. And for Jake, those videos are pieces of his heart he can revisit, a living memory of the bond they shared. Mimi's passing leaves a gentle void, but also a celebration in her wake, a reminder of the simple, profound impact one person's light can have. She wasn't just Gooby Gooby's grandmother. She was a voice in the digital age, a source of genuine laughter, and a spirit that will forever echo in the hearts of those she touched.
Sylvester Enzio Stallone was born on July 6, 1946, in New York City's Hell's Kitchen to hairdresser Frank Stallone Sr. and Jackie Stallone, a vivacious woman who later became known as a fitness promoter and astrologer. A difficult forceps delivery damaged nerves on the left side of his face, leaving his lip and part of his cheek permanently slack and giving him the gravelly, slightly slurred diction that would become instantly recognizable. The family moved often and argued more than a little, and the boy who would one day play indefatigable fighters learned early how to outlast rough weather. School never came easily. Stallone cycled through several schools, among them Lincoln High in Philadelphia and Charlotte Hall Military Academy in Maryland, where he was better at sports and putting on skits than at sitting still in class. What he did develop was a hunger for performance and an eye for characters who had to work harder than everyone else. He briefly studied in Switzerland at the American College in Leysin, where he took drama seriously for the first time, soaking up Stanislavski exercises and scene study. Back in the United States, he enrolled in the University of Miami to major in drama. Money was scarce, and he left before finishing the degree. The university would formally award him a BFA decades later in recognition of his body of work. But by then, he had found a direction he couldn't ignore. Why acting? In Stallone's own formulation, it was the one arena where the things that had made him self-conscious, his voice, his asymmetrical face, his bruiser's energy, could be turned into assets. He was fascinated by stories of men on the ropes who refused to drop their hands, and he sensed that the camera believed people who had truly been hit. Acting allowed him to channel that physicality and stubborn optimism, and writing gave him control over the kinds of roles that would let those qualities show. New York became his classroom. He took whatever work kept a roof overhead, cleaning animal cages at the zoo, ushering in a movie theater, bouncing at a club, then raced to open auditions and off-Broadway workshops. He landed tiny film bits, a background appearance in Woody Allen's Bananas, a fleeting turn in Klute, and more importantly, he started to shape material for himself. On stage, he wrote and performed short pieces, noodling with themes of loyalty, failure, and second chances that would echo throughout his career. A first glimmer of notice arrived with The Lords of Flatbush, 1974. A scrappy Brooklyn gang picture in which Stallone held his own opposite Henry Winkler. The part wasn't star-making, but it proved he could carry a frame and that his tough guy presence read as authentic rather than affected. Around the same time, he was laboring over screenplays at a card table in a cramped apartment, drafts that would become Paradise Alley and, eventually, the story of a small-time Philadelphia club fighter who gets an impossible shot. He set himself a rule. No matter how long it took, he would not sell that script unless he could play the lead. The decision was equal parts defiance and clarity. He didn't just want a break. He wanted the right break, one that fit the man he knew he was becoming.
Sylvester Stallone's earliest years in the entertainment world were marked not by glamour or immediate recognition, but by a relentless struggle to survive in New York while holding on to the dream of becoming an actor. After leaving his studies at the University of Miami, he returned to the city with almost no money and no safety net, renting tiny apartments when he could afford them, and at times even sleeping in bus terminals when he couldn't. His reality was one of constant rejection at auditions, with casting directors often dismissing him because of his slurred speech or unconventional appearance. Yet his persistence never faltered, and he refused to abandon the dream that had taken root deep inside him. To support himself, Stallone cycled through a string of menial jobs that were far removed from the glamour of the screen. He cleaned cages at the Central Park Zoo, hauled fish at markets, worked as a bouncer in rough nightclubs, and took shifts in health clubs where his interest in bodybuilding at least gave him some comfort. He even ushered at movie theaters, secretly imagining his name one day appearing on the posters he saw nightly. These jobs barely paid enough to cover food and paper for his typewriter, but each one kept him afloat just long enough to make it to another audition or another day of writing. In the middle of this daily grind, Stallone found small roles that kept his faith alive. He appeared as a nameless thug in Woody Allen's Bananas and had a fleeting moment on screen in Klute. None of these roles brought financial stability, but each one confirmed that he could find his way onto a set, even if just for a few seconds. At his lowest point, with no money for rent and nowhere to go, he accepted a part in a low-budget soft-core film, The Party at Kitty and Studs. He would later explain that the choice was born not of ambition, but desperation. He only had $200 to his name and nowhere left to turn. Even as he hustled for these scraps, Stallone spent long nights writing. In his bare apartment, often with only a desk and a typewriter, he poured his frustrations and hopes into screenplays. The characters he created were underdogs, fighters, and dreamers, men who mirrored his own battles. Scripts like Paradise Alley began to take shape, though no one was willing to buy them at the time. Writing gave him a sense of agency, a way to create roles that Hollywood never seemed willing to offer him. A small breakthrough arrived with The Lords of Flatbush in 1974. Playing one of the leather-jacketed Brooklyn gang members, Stallone stood out for his raw physical presence and natural intensity. The film was modest in its reach, but important for him, providing a taste of legitimacy and showing he could carry a role with more depth than just a background thug. It was enough to keep the flame alive, though still far from the life he envisioned. By the mid-1970s, Stallone had amassed a patchwork resume of tiny roles, survival jobs, and stacks of rejected screenplays. He remained on the edge of poverty, but his identity as both actor and writer was firmly set. He was not simply a man drifting through odd jobs. He was someone honing a vision, convinced that one day or sooner or later, one of his stories would break through. Every rejection, every night of hunger, every temporary job only sharpened his determination. He carried the look of a man beaten down but never broken, and it was precisely this spirit that would soon transform his life and reshape Hollywood itself.
Sylvester Stallone's life turned dramatically after the triumph of Rocky. Practically overnight, he went from a struggling actor and writer who had lived on the edge of poverty to a global phenomenon. The film, shot on a modest budget, exploded into a cultural landmark, winning the Academy Award for Best Picture in 1977 and cementing his image as the embodiment of the underdog who fights against impossible odds. For Stallone, The sudden flood of money and fame was both liberating and overwhelming. The man who once could not afford rent was now signing million-dollar contracts, walking red carpets, and becoming a household name around the world. The transition was not without turmoil. Fame magnified every aspect of his life: the pressures of constant attention, the demands of an industry eager to capitalize on his success, and the personal challenge of managing wealth he had never known before. Stallone found himself living in luxury, owning cars and homes he once only dreamed of, but beneath the surface, he struggled to stay grounded. He poured much of his energy into creating sequels to Rocky and into new franchises like Rambo, channeling his work ethic into stories that reflected his vision of resilience, patriotism, and personal strength. These roles made him not only an actor, but a cultural icon, representing determination and raw willpower to audiences everywhere. Emotionally, Stallone wrestled with the highs and lows of public life. There were moments when criticism struck him deeply, when sequels or new projects did not receive the acclaim he hoped for, and he felt the weight of expectation pressing against him. Yet he used these setbacks as fuel, pushing himself to reinvent and prove his worth again. Through the decades, he balanced blockbuster roles with personal projects, always returning to characters that mirrored his own journey, flawed but relentless, scarred but unbroken. As the years passed, Stallone learned to navigate the machinery of fame with greater wisdom. He became more selective, focusing on projects that carried meaning rather than chasing trends. His personal life, marked by both loss and renewal, added depth to his performances. The raw, unpolished man who once slept in bus stations evolved into a seasoned storyteller, respected not just for his physical presence, but for his creative endurance. Today, Stallone stands as one of the last true legends of Hollywood's action era, still active, still telling stories, and still inspiring new generations. He has embraced his legacy with humility, aware that his rise from hardship to global stardom resonates far beyond cinema. His journey reflects not only the pursuit of fame, but the struggle to hold on to humanity within it. After decades in the spotlight, he remains a figure of perseverance, proof that an underdog's fight never truly ends. It simply changes form with time.